You're here with the supernatural Aaron Hart. You're watching Top Rope Reality.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Top Rope Reality, episode 25.
25, halfway to 50.
Yes, halfway to. We ain't stopping at 50.
No.
Just halfway to 50.
Halfway to 50.
Ain't it funny it took this long to get 25 episodes, but we are here. Now let's go ahead and start with a little indie news.
Indie news. Not a little. This time we have quite a bit.
We do have quite a bit. Let's
They
get started.
started making matches, but we do have breaking news from
breaking
Culture
news.
Shock Wrestling. John Riker's out indefinitely due to a knee injury suffered at the 12 plus 1 years of Mayhem show. Also, they have announced Culture Shock Wrestling and AIWF Wrestling present Fallout, September the 27th at the Mossy Head Community Center. Your main event. Finally, you get the match you've been waiting to see.
No, it ain't there yet.
Finally, the main
Something
event
may happen before
for
that
the
happens.
CSW Championship. Lucha Lacora challenges the champion, your boy, Mr. Canadian man himself, Chris Ty.
Oh, Chris will hold the title. Lucha Lacora will not have a chance.
Number 2, I don't really agree with because I understand faction against faction, but both factions are heels. You have Victor Crew, the now leader of the Fist, taking on the viral internet champion, Chris Bracken of the Tradition. I don't totally agree with that, being that they're both heel groups, but it is what it is.
Well,
maybe it'll be different once we get there. I don't know.
Well, on that night, if that night they want to see who the better man is.
Maybe what the better group is. I don't
Yes.
know, And then, number 3 that's been announced, there must be a winner. 2 of the biggest men in CSW. Lane Smart, the Beast, not Nathan, but the Beast, Lane Smart, taking on Mr. Big of the Fist.
That should be a great match.
That will be insane. That'll be
That's two big old bulls.
two huge people going against each
head
other.
to head.
You will not see a bunch of flying off the
No.
ropes. You won't see a bunch of fancy moves. You're just going to see a knockdown, drag-out brawl.
Yes, well, let's get back to John Riker for a second. Now, I didn't see how, we haven't read up on how it happened, what happened.
Probably with that no DQ, Falls Count Anywhere.
It just makes me wonder if Justin Overstreet didn't have something to do with that.
I hear
How
you.
to take out one of his bigger challengers.
I'm curious as to who's going to face him now that Riker is injured. Who is the next contender that's going to face him at Culture Shock Wrestling?
Probably if he makes it.
If he shows up.
Yes.
There you go.
I mean, they may announce it, who it is, and he may, okay, sure, and then when it gets close, well, I've got something else to do.
There you
one
go.
of those things. I believe, if it happens again, I believe it's so much more that Overstreet is turning into a paper champion.
Oh, there you go. The dreaded words. But we want to move
Let's go
on to
New Heights. New Heights
Wrestling.
Wrestling here. They got a show coming up
Yes, they
on
do.
September 13th called Aftermath.
Their huge Panama City show that they just recently had was a huge success.
Yes, that's what I
sold
heard.
out.
And so far, one match has been announced so far.
A huge tag team match.
Oh, yeah. Waylon Barley and Lane Smart
Yes.
taking on Lucha Lacora and Trey's
Soldier, which is also, he's from Culture Shock, and they call him their Suicidal Soldier.
Well, that's a good team there.
So we also want to congratulate, here at Top Rope Reality, we want to congratulate Tessa Blanchard on a huge win.
Oh, yes.
As she fought George South in a match that lasted 48 minutes and 52 seconds as she was crowned the new EWA World Heavyweight Champion.
And that's
Big victory.
And when was the last time you saw a match last this long?
It's been a very long time.
It has been, because right now, this culture today, if you get over 15 minutes,
They get bored with it.
people lose interest.
Exactly.
It's got a move, fast, pace era right now.
Yep.
You can't drag anything. That's one of them drag storylines out for more than a couple of between one pay-per-view to another.
Yep.
Because if they did what they used to do, where they one storyline would last for 2 or 3, maybe 4 pay-per-views, people lose interest.
And also, something real big here, Pro Wrestling Syndicate. We have not really been reporting on this particular
No.
company, but they have an event called All Fired Up. It will be taking place on September the 20th. Notable names scheduled for the event are Lance Storm, Ricky Steamboat, Ricardo Rodriguez,
Well, that's good for them.
TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Lashley, and the man who has apparently just finished up his schedule currently with WWE. He'll be back later on like Jericho does. That is RVD. Now this is the same company that when Kurt Hawkins and the Funkasaurus, Brodus Clay, both got fired from the WWE. I mean, they picked them up like that, and they are active members with them. So Pro Wrestling Syndicate has got some money to play around with.
Yes,
Apparently.
it's a smart move. I mean, they're probably not going to go to TNA
Right.
if TNA stays around.
Why would you want to stay with TNA?
I would not go to TNA. I would not want to sign with TNA or anything like that until I know they are firmly going to stay around.
Right, we'll be talking about that later on in another segment.
But yeah, that's the smart move for the people. I mean, look at Bobby Lashley. He's going over there, so
Yes,
going to make more working for them than it is for TNA being the World Heavyweight Champion.
probably so.
But yeah, RVD is going to go there.
And I also heard that Lashley was going to be missing some TV tapings for TNA because of his commitments to Bellator. So that's, I mean, and he's a champion.
How is that possible? They don't tape everything in 2 weeks.
Right, but they've got another taping coming up pretty soon.
I'm not saying anything. It's just another copy. Let's see. We get Brock Lesnar, and he starts missing dates like Raws and pay-per-views, and now Bobby Lashley is going to start missing Impact and Impact.
But it's like because they don't have
I mean,
pay-per-views.
Yeah. Their next pay-per-view is Bound for Glory, and
He'll
of
be
course
there
they'll be
for
there for that one.
Yes.
Yes. And coming up next, after we get done, I mean, at the end of part one will be our Chasity Taylor interview.
Yes,
You
when we were at the Brad Armstrong Memorial Show
Yes,
in
so.
Florida, it was a great interview as we got to interview about 6 different people.
Yes.
As we continue to bring those to you every other week.
Yes. And that's, I mean, unless you have any other news,
I
I think that's all we have right now.
nothing else right now.
Well, all right, folks, that's it for part one. Hope you enjoyed our little independent news. Next week we'll have a lot more we can find on the internet.
Yes.
We'll be right back for part two of Top Rope Reality, episode 25.
All right, and here we are with an interview with Chasity Taylor. All right, and we want to ask you a few questions. When did you start watching wrestling?
I grew up watching wrestling. I can remember being 3 and 4 years old watching Ric Flair on TV, strutting and wooing. So it's been like since birth.
Okay. And who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
I was a huge Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson fan. The Rock and Roll Express was big to me, and Ric Flair. Those 3 guys really pulled me in and got me hooked into wrestling.
Okay. And how many, I don't know how many years, but how long have you been actively wrestling?
Actively wrestling, I just began at the beginning of 2014.
Okay.
And I started in the business when I was 13 years old as a ring announcer. So
Oh,
I'm going on a couple of years now.
wow. And who trained you to wrestle?
I trained at the CWF Mid-Atlantic Dojo in Burlington, North Carolina.
Okay. And who would your dream opponent be?
Dream opponent would either be Lita or Trish. I grew up in that era where those 2 women were putting their mark and their stamp in wrestling. So either of those girls would be an absolute honor to work.
Okay. And when your career's over, what would you want your legacy to be?
I'm the first in my family to go to college. I was the first girl in my family to graduate high school on time. So to do something of this nature, something so powerful and something so moving, I want to make sure that everyone knows who Chasity Taylor is when it's all said and done. Like, be proud of me. So.
Okay. And a few word associations for you.
Okay.
Cesaro.
King of Swing. I loved watching him before WWE, pre-Cesaro, like pre-WWE. Cesaro was I was a big fan of. I love what they're doing with him. I think he's an absolute phenomenal worker. Phenomenal.
Okay. And let's see, Dean Ambrose.
Again, pre-WWE, loved him. I've always been a fan. Followed him around the United States for years on the indie scene. Loved him.
Okay. And Sting.
Sting. I was terrified of face paint as a kid. I was like that. I was terrified. So Sting, it took me so long. Like I became a fan of Sting like later years, like recently. So I was always scared of him. It was something that I could never pull for him. But my dad's a huge fan of his, so that was always something we would bicker about. Like I was terrified of him. So.
All right. Well, this has been an interview with Chasity Taylor, and we want to thank you for joining us, and good luck with your match later on.
Thank you so much.